You know, one of the things I'm often asked is what my favorite arcs of Naruto are. I know a lot of times this is used as a test by others to see if I'm a real Naruto fan. I'm sure we've all ran into people like that. But regardless of what the objectively correct answer is, I have my own personal tastes, and I'd like to share them with you. So, you can either agree with me or make fun. I don't really care either way. I could always use a good laugh. What I do hope you do, though, is share your own personal favorite arcs below. I'd love to hear what you think about said arcs. Just be nice to each other when you comment on other people's favorite arcs. Don't make me call the YouTube police and put you in YouTube jail. Not a fun place to be. Almost as bad as the Five Kage Summit Arc. Did I just spoil what's at number 13? Well, I guess there's no point holding back now. Let's get started. But first, welcome to the Amagi. Only 25% of our viewers are subscribed, so if you're a fan of the video, please like and double check if you are subscribed, and with that out of the way, let's get into the video. Number 13, the Five Kage Summit Arc. To say I loathe the Five Kage Summit Arc is an understatement. Some may enjoy it, but being an anime-only watcher who was already having issues with how much filler I was watching, to figure out that one of the canon arcs required to move the story forward was basically just C-SPAN but they're ninjas now upset me. For real, it got so bad and I got so pissed with the pacing of the show, I nearly gave up on finishing Naruto entirely. But I persevered because the appearance of Sasuke's Mangekyo Sharingan pulled me through. I was pleased every time we got pulled away from that room to see Sasuke or Jugo kick in rear. I loved when the Raikage got involved and Sasuke officially entered the Kage meeting room. Kokuten is such an awesome song, so there were a few points that the arc had. One such good point was Naruto's panic attack, which I guess doesn't really sound like a good point. It was really sad watching our favorite orange ninja fall face first into the snow, but it was super validating to see even our heroes facing similar issues that we face. We also had the fight with Danzo, which was pretty good too, but all in all, this arc dragged on way too long, considering what it actually was, and maybe that's just the fault of the anime intentionally stretching the pacing to give the manga time to complete. But all in all, I felt like I'd rather wait than sacrifice story pacing just to squeeze out an extra buck through ratings. But I guess that's just me. Number 12. The Tenchi Bridge Recon Mission arc was the second arc in the Naruto Shippuden anime series, or the second part to you intellectual manga readers, flaunting your darned literacy over me. While it introduced Sai as a character, and it was funny watching Naruto and Sakura come to terms with needing a third teammate while their other teammate is AWOL, it did add some drama in making them search for that old teammate with the new one. Sai's whole character arc was interesting to me, though slightly disturbing to watch someone as talented and passionate about art as he was losing all emotional connection with the world from the loss of someone close to him. It really set Danzo up as a character to be that bastard that everyone is legally required to hate. And considering that bro just be killing everyone and trying to start wars for his own selfish reasons, or his own twisted view of the world, that makes the hate fairly well deserved. But despite the character building with Sai, the arc didn't really seem to do much for me besides letting Naruto and Sakura meet Sasuke for the first time since bro pulled an avatar and vanished when they need him most. To see Sasuke so quickly and easily come to killing Naruto let us get a good grasp on where the story would go from there, and was definitely necessary and a good plot move to set us up for the new tone. Despite that though, it didn't tickle my amygdala, so for that reason, I'm setting it low. Suck it. Number 11, the Kazekage Rescue Arc. Getting to see Sakura's growth, going from that girl who was only just strong enough to cut her hair to the girl who can do CPR on a fish and punch the ground so hard it cries, was really fun. Gave me hope that Sakura was going to become something. Seeing her startle Naruto and Kakashi with her strength, cure Kankuro of his illness, and pretty much 1v1 Sasori felt like finally Sakura was amounting to something. It's really too bad Kishimoto trashed her the very moment the arc ended, because there was a stock market crash on all the shares of Sakura Usefulness Promises, or SUP. That being said, I really liked the focus on puppets in this arc. Not just because the word puppet is fun to say, but because they're one of the coolest jutsu types out there. Getting to see the third Kazekage puppet and realize that it was possible to turn people into puppets was really exciting. Getting to see that Sasori turned himself into an actual puppet blew my mind that it could go that far, and both made me love the character and be scared of him, since he was basically just the seed of Chucky now. The psych out for Gaara's death did seem kinda cheap to me. To just have a resurrection jutsu laying around that literally anyone can do if they're willing to sacrifice themselves just didn't make Gaara's revival all that justified to me. But I mean, I love Gaara to death and back and will die on the hill that he should be alive solely based on the fact that he has become best boy. Number 10. The Akatsuki Suppression Arc. This arc actually had a meaningful death in it, and it didn't feel cheap to me either, which does a lot for it. The introduction of Hidan and Kakuzu, especially right after the Sasori arc, kinda felt like it really set the tone for the Akatsuki. All of their techniques shall be morbid. I mean, we got a team led by two piercing-obsessed goths that once included Orochimaru, possesses Shark Boy minus Lava Girl, has the Bride of Chucky, and now a five-hearted Raggedy Andy and a frickin' cult leader who's into human sacrifice and looks like Billy Joe Armstrong. At least reminds me of him. That sorta told me that the theme of the Akatsuki was morbid freaks. On top of this, Naruto also formed the Rasen Shuriken. Honestly, maybe this arc ought to be higher, but as the title says, I'm not basing this after everyone's logic, but solely upon my own whacked out opinions, and I just enjoyed other arcs more than this one. Sorry, Asuma-sensei, but I was pulling for the bad guys. Number 9. The End of Shippuden and the Last Movie. I mean, I guess I don't really have to say it. The last movie has to fit somewhere, and considering that the End of Shippuden arc contains all of the storylines that complete the series, I felt it was only right to count them together. Not to mention that the last movie takes place canonically before the final episode. Also, I'm not gonna count the Boruto movie. Even though it's called Naruto, it's a Boruto movie because it came after the last movie. See, it says it right there in the name. Naruto, the last movie. And also, Boruto's movie is non-canon. But anyway, the End of Shippuden arc contained a lot of cool stuff, including the canonization of various light novels, such as Sasuke Shinden. But for me, the thing that really knocked it out of the park was the last movie. Arguably the first actually new canon Naruto movie, and I still think Blood Prison is canon, it not only introduced a brand new dojutsu that is arguably one of the cooler ones in the series, but we also got to see our boy Naruto become a space ninja. With the whole moon falling down thing, the aesthetics of the moon's interior, and the desire to find someone you care about, the movie did nothing but remind me of Majora's Mask in a way. Maybe that's the reason this is one of my favorite movies. That being said, I kinda felt that the relationship development between Naruto and Hinata seemed a little rushed. But then again, this was the last thing they had before Boruto launched. Frankly speaking, they didn't have time to flesh it out, but it really did sort of feel more like Naruto was brainwashed into loving Hinata as opposed to actually falling in love naturally. So there's that. But we got to see Naruto cut the moon in half and somehow not end all life on Earth as we know it, so that's cool. But the longer I watch this set of stories from the final arc, the more I begin to believe that Kishimoto just doesn't know how to stick endings. Like Araki-sensei, who writes JoJo, Stone Ocean would have been the perfect ending and was planned to be. It wrapped everything up in a nice bow and showed that there's no such thing as plot armor in JoJo unless you're Jotaro Kujo in JoJo Part 3. I kinda wish Naruto had such a solid ending, but probably with the death of everyone in the universe. But I guess it's a blessing in disguise, because at least there's no reason to feel upset when Boruto comes along to ruin even more of Naruto's legacy. Number 8. The 4th Shinobi World War arc. I have really mixed feelings about this beautiful, dumb arc. On one hand, I really love Madara Uchiha. He's my favorite character if you haven't heard. But also, this thing is long as hell. This arc alone, or I guess the collection of arcs that make up this super arc, are over half the length of Shippuden, with Shippuden itself being twice the length of the first part. For real, this arc is over a third of the entire Naruto series in length, and I'm not so certain that this is a good thing. Remember when I said the Five Kage Summit felt like it was introducing pacing issues like a beloved family member? Yeah, well, those pacing issues became that one mooching uncle who farts at the table and lives in the basement we call the War Arc. For real, it feels like the arc continuously and abruptly starts and stops just to give us useless flashbacks due to the lack of content due to Naruto's serialization. The arc was fan service indeed, letting us see the return of many of the greatest and favorite shinobi who died in the past. Everyone except Jiraiya, I guess. We got to see a Pain rematch, we got to see Itachi again, Naruto got to fight with his dad, even dumb old Hiruzen came back. I love that stupid old man. So getting to see my favorite shinobi come back, and finally getting to see Madara in his prime soloing the entire world because he's just too angry to die, hit me in a way that no logical or objectively good plot ever could. And it might have been wonderful if it wasn't for Kaguya. Now, I'll say this, Kaguya isn't a bad character, nor is her story arc. But the issue is, her story arc and appearance came at the expense of my favorite character, and so for that, I hate her. If she'd been introduced after the heroes defeated Madara, then it could be forgiven, but no. Madara was winning, actually had won, and then Kaguya came sweeping in like the roaring fraud and got soloed by base Suzy in the form of Naruto and Sasuke's stick-on hand tattoos. Like, if she had actually let someone who trained their whole life fighting do the fighting and took over after the threat was neutralized, then maybe this wouldn't have happened. Maybe she wouldn't be put on the moon again, and maybe we might have a successful or at least satisfying villain, but no. Moon Mama had to come in and mess up all our evil plans by pretending that she's him, and then being reminded why she should have just stayed in the moon to begin with. Number 7. The Pain Arc. There's an elephant in the room we need to talk about, and I'm not talking about something the Animal Path summoned. I'm talking about this. Show slides of the arc's questionable art style. Like, did they fire everyone who ever went to school to draw? It looks less like an anime and more like a Cuphead level. No offense to Cuphead, of course. Calling this art Cuphead art is more of a compliment than it deserves. There are good shots, but the frenetic action feels almost like the opposite of all the arcs after this. While it felt like in the Five Kage Summit Arc that they had more time than they knew what to do with, it feels like, at least for this arc, that they were struggling just to keep up and were pushing out episodes as fast as possible, regardless of the quality. I could bag on this forever, and maybe it's time I moved on a bit. Frankly, this arc isn't actually that bad when it comes to plot. When we get down to brass tacks, this is the arc where we get to see Naruto get revenge on Pain for killing Jiraiya, and the way he goes about it is such classic Naruto. Bro literally just sort of forgives him. Well, maybe forgiveness is a strong word, but he certainly doesn't kill him. Instead, Pain just brings everyone who died, except Jiraiya, back to life. I guess Jiraiya did have a perfect character arc, and undoing that maybe would have been a disservice to his character, but damn it, I want my pervy sage back. I want it, I want it, I want it, I want it! Getting to see the full power of the Rinnegan was super awesome, and probably was the cause of the reinvigoration of the need for a new dojutsu that we see in Boruto. Too bad this awesome dojutsu gets bastardized. Half the people who have it in Boruto don't even use it for anything any more than you would a basic Mangekyo Sharingan. Shameful, kind of like the art in this arc. 7 out of 13, would not Cuphead art again. Number 6, the Land of Waves arc. Holy crap, did I just accidentally admit that original Naruto is better than most everything in Shippuden? Well, I mean, it must be true. I'm looking at my list here, and everything else from this point on, save for one arc, is OG Naruto. We only have one Shippuden arc left, so I guess the lists don't lie. Anyway, the Land of Waves arc was actually really good. My God! It's not the best arc in original Naruto, but considering it was the first arc, and I really include every episode before this arc into it, it was a really solid start that set the bar for all arcs to come. And in proper fashion, all the other arcs in some ways surpassed it. Except for most of Shippuden, I guess. This arc showed us what the ninja world was going to be like. It wasn't so power crazy as later arcs, like with all the moon-shattering feats and stuff. It was just regular people with probably athlete-level strength, maybe a bit higher, and lots of cool ninjutsu. Back when base Sharingan was actually impressive. It further introduced the theme of the series, being the hatred cycled by the shinobi world, actually addressing the issue that in a world that makes its living off mercenary contracts, it's gotta be filled with death and murder. It didn't shy away from that, and watching the illusion shatter with Naruto was just perfect. But also showing Zabuza beginning to cry about it showed us that things aren't that black and white, and sometimes people have a reason for the way that they are. It provokes the mind to question, why are you like this, in a genuine and non-insulting way. So for that, I think it's a 10 out of 10 arc, and one of the best in the series. Number 5, The Search for Tsunade. The Search for Tsunade arc was the first real arc we got with Jiraiya, outside of the little bit of training during the Chunin exams. Here, we not only get to see Naruto learn the Rasengan, but also get to see a city-scale destruction game of Japanese rock, paper, scissors between Tsunade, Jiraiya, and Orochimaru. Trust me, there's a clever joke in there, you just gotta know what I'm talking about. But beyond this, we actually got to see Itachi for the first time here. And he was every bit as intimidating as we were told, hiding mostly behind that high-collar jacket. A lot of fanboys and fangirls were born in this arc, and they were born in this arc for good reason, because Itachi is just that cool. For real. I'm certain that somewhere, either Itachi inspired Boss from Metal Gear Solid 3 or vice versa, because the parallels are just insane. I love me some disgraced patriot trope, and Itachi is a surplus of that. With Kisame there, it was just cool factor all over the place. Then, with the introduction of the eternal flames of Amaterasu at the end of this encounter with Sasuke and Naruto, and the whole crow thing, it just cemented Itachi as that edgy character that everyone found so cool. Number 4, The Konoha Crush Arc. Honestly, I don't know why I didn't put this in the same category as the Chunin exams, since they basically go hand in hand. But at that point, it would require me to renumber the list, and I can't be bothered. I lazy. But, you know, this is listed as a separate arc, so why don't we judge it as such?
Okay.
First off, this arc mostly just consists of fighting. We get to see a fight between Hiruzen and Orochimaru, as well as a fight between Team 7 and the Sand siblings. And while it is only a fighting arc, the fights are really cool, and it's a lot better paced than later on down the line. With the freaking kaiju in the shape of giant summons, we begin to wonder why the Ninetales was ever a threat to anyone, because these summons can do basically the same thing. In fact, when Naruto summons Gamabunta, he uses the transformation jutsu to actually turn him into the Ninetales. Despite that small inconsistency, or what would have been viewed as such at the time, it was still an awesome fight. We got to see Kakashi and Might Guy kick some butt, and we even got to see the first and second Hokages fight the third. There's even a teaser for the fourth, but for reasons we would later find out, we know Minato wasn't even there. At least not reincarnated, that is. This arc really was an action express with plenty of cool fights, well deserving of its spot, and if I had paired it with the Chunin exams, it would have gone even higher. Number 3, Sasuke Recovery Arc. The Sasuke Recovery Arc was a whole new can of worms when we first watched it, and the novelty of the arc really blew our minds. Like, we always knew Sasuke was a dark character, but we never would have expected him to actually betray the village and his friends over this. Not only did we get to see the Sound 4 and Kimimaro, who is arguably one of the coolest characters in this whole arc, but we also got introduced more deeply to the power of curse marks, which we would later see expanded as the series went on, well into Shippuden even. The influence of curse marks could be felt throughout the entirety of the series, even if they stopped being used by the main cast after Sasuke takes on Itachi. Getting to see the cool little one-on-ones between some of the Rookie 9 and Sound 4, and then seeing the triumphant return of Rock Lee, who not only faces Kimimaro, but does so alongside Gaara, the one who crippled him. It was an amazing arc full of tension that only went deeper when we saw Naruto and Sasuke face off for the last time. To see Sasuke pushed so far that not only does he use his stage 2 curse mark, but even developed a 3 Tomoe Sharingan like Kakashi's, told us how strong the characters were getting, and how important of a battle this was to them on an emotional level. And even more, not only did Sasuke win the battle, but he actually left, leaving the viewers questioning what could possibly come next. We were stunned by this, and our perceptions of what the series would be about up to that point had been completely shattered. And honestly, that's a really good thing. Number 2, the fated battle between brothers plus Jiraiya the Gallant arcs. I mentioned that there was only one more arc from Shippuden to be added in, and well, this is it. Or these are it. I consider Sasuke's search for Itachi and his battle with Itachi to be the same thing. I think it's best that I just put them together. This was the arc we were all waiting for so long. This was the perceived end of Sasuke's character arc. Sasuke would kill Orochimaru and then set out to find Itachi. And upon finally finding him, we got to see their epic battle come to its climax. This was everything Sasuke had been talking about since the first episode he appeared, and now he was here. Would he win? Would Itachi escape? No, Sasuke loses to Itachi. But because Itachi's so sick, he keels over before he can even finish bro off. A real nat 20 on luck for Sasuke there. Then came the bombshell. You know he was forced to do this, right? The revelation that Itachi was just following orders and was secretly only doing this to protect Sasuke from the secret corruption that had up till this point only been hinted at was shocking. In that moment, our entire perception of Itachi's whole character arc changed. For real. Emotional, damn it! So many people had to rewatch the entire series just to recontextualize Itachi's actions. That was a perfect twist that not only solved Sasuke's first golden character arc, but also gave him another equally golden arc, turning him into the McDonald's of Naruto character arcs. And it only gets better when we see Jiraiya on a secret mission. Trying to discover who the head of the Akatsuki is, he discovers it is his old students, and he has to fight them. The revelations in this arc go so hard. We get to see incredible fighting from Jiraiya and Pain together, and it gives us a taste of what Nagato can do later on. But most startling of all, Jiraiya dies as well. This introduces to both our main protagonists a similar question. What do you do when someone who loved you so deeply dies? Sasuke goes on a hateful rampage where he plans to kill every man, woman, and beast in Konoha, and Naruto goes out to learn Sage Mode so he can protect the village his master loved in the same way Jiraiya did. It's beautiful, and further sets up a confrontation between the two while acknowledging their feelings as people, keeping them both in character. It's not only one of the best written arcs, but also one of the coolest fighting arcs, especially when we get to see Itachi's Susanoo fight against Orochimaru's Hydra. But how about we top this list off? The number one arc in all of Naruto. Drumroll please. Number 1, the Chunin Exams arc. This arc is probably the most popular arc in all of original Naruto, and I can absolutely see why. Despite the fact that it portrays itself as the obligatory fighting tournament arc that every shonen anime needs to have, it goes way beyond the Call of Duty by not only giving us more than regular fights, but whole scenarios that our characters need to not only muscle through, but think or luck up through to survive. This arc introduces characters who will become integral to the story later on and introduces techniques of incredible power, such as the 8 gates. It also shows us the secret that Naruto's not the only one with a tailed beast. There's more than just a Ninetales out there, and there's at least one boy who has lived Naruto's life and gone the darker path. The contrast between Naruto and Gaara is startling, showing us just what kind of monster Naruto could have been if he really wanted to. Not only do we get to see these fights and techniques, but each of these characters have their own story arcs, and we get to follow them all, showing that the series won't just be Naruto time, but there will be a lot of shinobi in this world, and each one has their own story. This is a part of world building that often goes underrated. So many great shows, including but not limited to My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. Ah, crap, did I just out myself as a brony? What can I say, I'm a sucker for a good story. We get to see a trope where every character, even background characters you never really noticed before, all have their own stories, histories, and character arcs. That level of world building does so much for a series on top of the maps we get to see. Star Wars does this exact same thing. This is what we in the writing biz call depth, and it adds a whole new dimension to storytelling, making it feel like a real place that exists independent of you. Same thing happens in Undertale and Deltarune, which is how such small worlds can feel so big. Sometimes the side quests are just as fulfilling as the main ones, and that is the kind of world building that this arc does. It takes a somewhat boring storytelling concept, such as a round-based fighting tournament, and throws in purpose and meaning. It does this to such a degree that we get to see the small world that started in the Land of Waves arc get built up to proportions we could have never imagined. And considering that this arc is the best arc of Part 1, especially if you include the Konoha Crush with it, and that Part 1 is far better than Part 2, then the math suddenly checks out. The Chunin Exams has to be the best arc in all of Naruto. But what do you think? Do you agree with this list? If so, tell us what parts you agreed with. And if you disagreed, tell us all the same. Leave your own tier lists in the comments below for us to see. Remember to be nice to each other as well while commenting. We're all fans here. Anyway, be sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell to be notified when more videos like this drop. And while you wait for those videos, check out these other great videos from our channel. I'm sure you'll love them. Until next time, peace out.